So thank you very much for coming this evening to Tide's fourth Tide Talk here at the Tide store in Old Street Station. As I'm sure you all know, Tide is the banking service which exists to save small businesses time and money. One of the areas in which I think we could all save a lot of time in our lives, and wasted time and wasted money, is just in having a bit more experience, knowing a bit more. An awful lot of the experience of being an entrepreneur is the experience of learning from making mistakes, because we don't necessarily have access to the expertise of people who've done it before. And so it gives me enormous pleasure that this evening we're able to welcome Robin Klein, who, it is fair to say, knows more about entrepreneurship in this country than just about anyone I think one could name. Robin will tell us in a bit about his history as an entrepreneur and latterly as an investor over the course of 40 years in this country. But I think as an example of what an iconic figure Robin is, it's relevant to note that, as Robin was just mentioning to me, where we are right now in the heart of Silicon Roundabout is an area that was named Silicon Roundabout by one of the founders of Zoopla, which is a, how do you describe it, a location-based, it was like Triviet. Data mobile startup, which was working out of the offices of Moon, the online stationers, both of which were funded and assisted by Robin Klein. So it's reasonable to declare that Robin is arguably the father of Silicon Roundabout, among many, many other accolades. My particular excitement in bringing Robin in today is that actually around that time, I used to meet Robin periodically because I was running a retail business, and Robin was seen by everyone in technology as the only person in technology who understood retail at all. And so every so often I would give Robin the opportunity to participate in that business, and after very graciously giving me an hour of time, he would very confidently explain to me that it wasn't quite right for him. And history proved that he was exactly right in that decision. So this evening I'm looking forward to, just as Robin asked me a lot of questions over all those hours in the past, I'm going to ask Robin a lot of questions this evening, at the end of which I may tell him it's a little bit too early, and then we'll finish up. So with that introduction, I suggest we get straight into it. Thank you very much, Robin, for coming to join me.
Okay, if we stay seated. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, if it's all right, Robin, I'd like to start with back at the beginning. Now, it's fair to say that at the time when you started doing entrepreneurship, there wasn't a lot of internet around, probably around the time actually that Tim Berners-Lee was inventing it. So there's not an awful lot of records that I've been able to discover about Robin's early career as an entrepreneur. But I know it was in South Africa, and the first company that I've been able to find that you were associated with, starting in 1971, was a business called Burda. And I suspect there's not a lot of people in London who know about Burda, so I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about that.
It was a small manufacturing company making domestic appliances. So I had done engineering at university, I did electrical, and I did a master's in industrial. Had a couple of jobs after that, and then I guess I was like 25 when I started this thing. It was more of a workshop than a factory, and made things like toasters and kettles. And it soon became clear that to build a brand we would need a much wider range than we could manufacture, so I started importing and really got the bug. But South Africa was a very difficult place to be, and it was a place I always wanted to leave. So I suppose when I was 29, sold that business and came here. I guess consumer businesses were always more interesting to me at that time. Why? But one of the questions is why be an entrepreneur? Why didn't I just stay working for large companies? I thought about that a lot because I've been asked it a lot. And, you know, it goes back to my dad, who was an engineer, worked all his life for a large company, of which he owned zero. Of course, I thought he was amazing and brilliant, and thought he just never got what he deserved, given, you know, how he built a company essentially, but for somebody else. And I guess I said to myself, I'm not going to get to that position. And interestingly enough, both my brothers are entrepreneurs as well. My younger brothers. So I think it might have had something to do with that.
How did your parents feel about it when you told them you were not going to be becoming a guy anywhere and set out on your own?
Well, you know, when I worked for a couple of years, I first for a consulting engineering business and then for a large manufacturer, I thought, you know, what I might do is go to business school in America. I applied to the Sloan School at MIT, and when I was accepted, I sort of chickened out, or at least I thought, before I take this big step, I should ask somebody what they think, whether the alternative was to start a company. And I remember there was a senior partner at an audit firm that my parents knew. I don't know what to see. So I was, you know, 25 at the time. I thought I could make my own decisions, but I thought I'd listen to him. And he said, you know, the cost of going to business school, you're likely not to lose as much if you start your own business, and you'll learn a hell of a lot more. So that was a decision that I made. And I stayed in South Africa at that time. I would have left earlier had I gone to business school. But I think that experience, the sort of 5 years or so that I built up that company and then sold it well, it, you know, kind of helped me set up here when I came here. I got married pretty young. I had 2 kids, one of whom was Saul, one of you probably know Saul. He was 6 when we came here, and you know, it was daunting. It was scary. The whole experience of, you know, coming with 2 kids and having very little capital, because although it sold the business well, you couldn't take any capital out of South Africa. That was part of the structure of the exchange control, as they call it.
And so when you got off the plane and you knew immediately which business you were going to go start up?
Not quite. I didn't just jump into nothing. The way it turned out was I talked a lot about leaving. As I said, South Africa wasn't a comfortable place at that time. And you know, I talked openly to friends, parents, and so on. And my parents actually thought it was probably a good idea that I left. And my dad spotted an ad in the paper for a UK company that was looking for someone to run the business. It was a manufacturing small appliance business, so it was like exactly what I was doing. And when I looked into it, it was owned. The ad was run in South Africa because it was owned by a South African company, a public company. So I applied, and they, at the interview, they said, "Great, you know, you've got the job." I said, "Well, there's a snag because, you know, I own this company, and it's doing rather well and we're growing fast." I said, "We'll buy it." So that was a great deal.
So you were an acqui-hire?
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah, exactly. Like the word didn't exist there, but yeah, I was an acqui-hire. I've never told the story that way, but yeah, that's exactly how it happened. So I came over here to run the business. I had a small stake in the company as part of the deal, and then built that business for another 10 years. That business was called Salty, and eventually sold that to a public company called Pifco. But that was also in the appliance business.
And what was the business model? You manufactured the appliances?
Manufactured, imported, built a brand. It was, I mean, I guess that at that time I was focusing probably more on marketing. Manufacturing was, I had a fantastic manufacturing director, ran the factory. Well, I still love factories. I do like hardware, just tend not to invest in it these days because it's so tricky. But factories are in my blood, I guess.
And I suppose at that time, most businesses that were selling manufactured goods would have been manufacturing them in Europe, wasn't the tradition or the standard of shipping them all around the world.
Yeah, I mean, China hadn't really emerged as a major manufacturer. Most of the imports we did were from Italy, Switzerland, funnily enough, Belgium, and yeah, I think it was. I enjoyed the marketing. I think more than anything, building brands. I think at that point I really understood the value of brand and how you differentiated your product from others. And some of the tactical things that we did, really paid off. I remember, for example, you guys won't ever remember this, but electrical appliances came without plugs. I won't mold it on. You had to wire the plug.
Yeah.
DIY stores, etc. Supermarkets, because anytime you bought a kettle or whatever, you had to buy a plug, and then so we just branded the back of the plug. We bought them in large volumes and we sold them at a loss. Yeah, a couple of pennies. Because every time you look at it, every time you plugged your appliance in, even if it wasn't ours, our brand was gold blocked, gold foil on the back of the plug. So, that taught me a lot about sort of guerrilla marketing. It was well before you could put money into the Google slot machine.
Was advertising part of that business model, or not particularly?
The kind of advertising we did was what was called off-page advertising. And that's how I got involved later on with this business called Innovations, which I'll talk about. But so what we did was we would obviously sell product via the major stores, so John Lewis and Boots at that time had big electrical appliance ranges. But in addition to that, we would sell directly to the public with an ad, with a coupon. People would phone or cut the coupon and send it in. The early days of credit card penetration, it just seems crazy to actually talk about that today. But credit cards were just beginning to be a payment method, and that facilitated home shopping to a large degree. And that's really, I guess, how I got into and why I got so excited by the internet later, 10 years after that.
I'm just wondering whether in the world of the internet, where one businesses that want to do advertising at all, whether offering a remote service, find that advertising is unbelievably expensive. Did it feel the same way in the 70s and 80s when you were doing advertising, or was the market a bit less sort of?
Well, remember that the media wasn't as fragmented as it is today. So if you wanted to be on television, you were on ITV, and the cost of a spot was enormous. It was just impossible for small brands to afford. There's no way to do that. And that's why sort of selling off the page was, at least you got some orders back. So the net cost of customer acquisition was very low. And we went on to build innovations. We actually would acquire customers at a profit through various means, mostly inserting catalogs in Sunday papers and so on.
What sort of behaviours inside companies like at that time? We know that in big companies nowadays, HR departments and people are much better behaved in big companies than they ever have been in the past. Small companies, were they also a bit more fun in those days than they are now, or is it pretty much the same?
I think small companies tended to be much more relaxed, much more informal, as they are today. And I think it was a lot easier to build real teamwork, and I think we pioneered some of the fun things that I think people take for granted now, whether it was sort of Friday late afternoon drinks or barbecues where, the directors of the company would, put the chef's hat on, that sort of stuff. It was a very, I think it was quite collaborative, and strangely enough, it wasn't the ownership throughout the company that now we would take for granted. I mean, we wouldn't back a company now that didn't have decent option schemes. Those days, well, venture capital didn't exist, and funding a company was really difficult.
Are you still in touch with any of the people?
Yeah, and I think talking about the culture, a number of them went on to found their own companies afterwards, because it was an entrepreneurial kind of culture. There are two ways of building your team, and that applies today as well. You either try and widen the gene pool so that you've got lots of different kinds of people who think differently, or you hire people like yourself, and a lot of companies do that. Large companies quite often do that, so everybody's a clone of everybody else. Now that can work, providing the person who is doing the cloning is amazing. But I think today most people would say you need sort of a blend of different talents. But the one thread, if I look back at the kind of people I hired, they were all entrepreneurial in spirit, and all I think would dare to be different in the jobs that they did. One of the things that I used to like to say is if you're not making a mistake, you're not doing anything. So just to get away from this blame culture, large companies tend to have that. People are scared to make mistakes, so they're scared to make decisions. And I think that's probably gone. I don't know whether you guys think, whether we'll talk about it later. But I think those cultural norms have died down.
And to some extent, you would have learned those behaviours from having been, at this point, you were already a serial entrepreneur. But we're aware nowadays there's kind of endless opportunities for mentorship with other entrepreneurs and so on. Did you have mentors that were telling you how to be better at being an entrepreneur, or do you really work it all out yourself?
So, what period are we talking about? Are we talking about the innovations period?
The period before innovation.
Before innovation. Well, I don't think, George Bush famously said that the French don't know how to spell entrepreneur. The English certainly didn't. I don't think Europe knew what entrepreneurship was. I don't think that people made a career being an entrepreneur. If I would go to a dinner party and met friends, acquaintances that said, "What do you do?" I'd say, "I'm in business." Because you wouldn't say you're an entrepreneur. I don't know why, because it didn't exist. If you were really smart and well educated, you'd go into the professions. The parents wouldn't let you do anything other than that. And even if they did, the risks involved were significant. It's all changed today.
Was it looked down on, entrepreneurship?
Failure was definitely looked down on. And that was a major factor in people not wanting to become entrepreneurs. Because some people were able to take those risky decision. I'll go on my own, or I'll join a startup, as people do today. It's risky joining a startup. A lot of people take a reduction in salary to join a startup. That would have been unthinkable. And partly because this will set me back in my career. My peers would have gone ahead, they would have gone up the organizational ladder. What's more, I might even fail. And if I fail, I mean, I could be ostracized from my social set, if not literally, but certainly people would look down. So, the Americans never quite had that culture. And I mean, we don't have it any longer either. I'd happily back people who fail more than once, because it's not, to me, that's great learning. I said to one of our team the other day, just jumping to where we are now, you won't become a great investor until you've lost quite a lot of money. How? And it's true. You can't become an investor unless you've been through the pain and understood why you made the wrong decision. We'll come to that.
So, you did Sultan for a while, and then you sold Sultan. Can you tell us a bit about the transition from selling Sultan into starting innovations?
Yeah. Selling Sultan was a bad experience at the end of the day. And it's a story worth telling, because these things will happen sometimes. So Sultan was a fast-growing business. I think we reached about 12 million in sales. We're talking 1980 something. So I think pretty successful. We found it quite hard to get equity capital. So we were borrowing from the bank and over-trading like crazy because we weren't very profitable. I think in our final year, we made just short of £1 million on 12 million. But when you've got a lot of working capital, I don't know how familiar people are with the dynamics of the balance sheet, but you're funding inventory and you're funding debtors because we're selling to retailers who don't pay you. You need a lot of working capital. So we got in pocket to the bank. It just was very hard to sleep at night, and that's happening. So we accepted an offer for the business, which was a decent offer, but by today's standards would have been derisory. But I took it, and part of the deal was that I had to join this company for a 3-year period. Public company, 100-year-old company, I think it was at the time. Joined this company and spent, after about 2 years, I knew that clearly at the end of the third year I'd be leaving. So I said to the other board members, look, I think we need to plan succession, and because I'm going to be leaving. I was shocked because I really threw myself into it. I was part of the bigger group. I had an interesting job. We were doing okay, but they were shocked, and they said, "But how come? And aren't you happy?" And I said, "Look, I can't do this. I've done this for 2 years." Well, cut a long story short, when I got back to I went away on holiday for a week. When I got back to the office, my office had been cleaned out, and I was told I had my marching orders. It never happened to me before. And basically, some trumped up reason said that I'd spoken to the industry and told them that I was leaving, which was not the case. I think they were concerned that might get out and undermine the business or something like that. Anyway, I had to battle it out. Didn't quite get to court, but I did sue them for wrongful dismissal, and they settled because it was wrongful. So I tell the story because big learning, and I think if you go through corporate life, these things happen. So how did the transition happen? My wife always says to me, she couldn't believe that I didn't just take a few weeks off. I used to get up in the morning, get dressed, go down to my study, and start working. What was working? It was like networking, calling, meeting people, and so on. And that's when I came across what became Innovations. It was a catalog consultancy that I worked with before, We were making catalogs for the credit card companies. Loved the business, loved the people, and so I bought into that business, and then over time turned it into innovations, public, and so on.
Was it called Innovations when you started it?
No, it was called NSP. It was a consultancy. We got paid to put catalogs together. What we decided to do was create our own brand, because our biggest customer was Barclaycard. We were inserting these catalogs, and they were all branded Barclaycard, and they all had these. For those who don't know innovations, it's we call it tomorrow's products today. It was a combination of not on the high street and innovative products that people never saw, and they were packaging catalogs, and they were mailed. That's where databases. We built one of the biggest databases in the country at that time. I guess it was all direct marketing. There was no web. It was only in '95 that we did our first e-commerce transaction.
And before we talk about that, maybe because you've just given a very obviously accurate, grown-up explanation of what the Innovations Catalogue was, but you're fully aware that for millions of British schoolboys, and I was one of them at the time, the Innovations Catalogue was seen in a similar but fundamentally different way, and I just thought I'd share with the audience what that was. So, my memory of the Innovations Catalogue in the early 90s, I'm sure I'm going to get some facts wrong here, you can correct me, but was that once a week in the Sunday Times or the Observer or similar, out would drop this amazing booklet of all of the gadgets in the world that you could possibly imagine would be fun to press the button on. And they might make a funny noise, or they might flash a light, or they might make something retract in your garden. There was just so much kind of machinery there. And in a world where the iPhone didn't exist, and there were no kind of social games and say whatever, if you were 11-year-old, this was the very pinnacle of immensely exciting technology. And Robin kindly brought along this evening a book of some of the innovations that were in the innovation.
That's a clever product. If you get up in the middle of the night, you can't find your way.
And I think just to, so for those who can't see, this is slippers which contain a torch. And I think just to give people a sense of what the sorts of innovations that were in the Innovations Catalogue, I thought we'd play a little game. So there are 103 pages in this book. Each page has got a different innovation on it. I just thought
that's not how the catalogs work. Some guys just publish.
So yes, I would actually be very cross if you were paying kind of per square millimetre on a page. You wouldn't just have one per. That would be nuts.
6 of them.
But I thought it might be quite fun if 3 members of our audience would just like to yell out, a number each between 1 and 103, and I'll tell you what's on those pages. It will give you a sense of the sheer craziness of some of the stuff that was in the innovation.
33.
So 33. Right, here we go.
Probably be something boring.
Your family name history. These beautiful frame certificates give you and your family unique insight into the origin and meaning of your surnames.
So that's the beginning of ancestry. If we had the internet.
Oh, it gets better though. You could find out the earliest recorded usage of the name, its geographical origins, famous bearers of the names, interesting historical anecdotes, even a coat of arms where relevant.
Much too serious. Give us another.
My favourite bit here. Printed on high quality parchment effect paper. 42.
Do you know that we had a copywriter, not on the team. We used a copywriter who, over a period of like 10 years, the same copywriter And if I'm not mistaken, he had something to do with the publishing of this book. He was brilliant, as you can tell.
As I can tell from what I'm about to read for page 42.
Right.
I wonder who can guess how this sentence ends. I'm just going to start with the first kind of 7 or 8 words. Pop, pop, it's for you. If you're a motorcycle freak, here's the only phone for you. The Kawasaki phone is a superb 11-inch times 6.5-inch times 2.5-inch scale model of the Ninja Series racing superbike, faithfully reproducing its sleek fairing and gleaming chromed fittings and mounted on an impressive plinth. However, nestling under the tank and seat, there lies an equally modern 2-piece telephone with push-button dialing, last number redial, and pulse tone switching. I don't know if you can see it here, but essentially the idea of you would raise the Kawasaki motorbike to your face to make a phone call. Now, I think we should have just one more. If you'd like to say another number.
72.
72. Right.
When you finish, I'm going to tell you the top 7, which may not even be about.
Plasma time we were talking about. Plasma time.
So here we go. So page 72 in the well-being section is a unique exercise machine for facial fitness. Underlying your facial skin is a complex muscular system. When these muscles lose strength and tone, the skin becomes loose and saggy around the eyes, mouth, jawline, and neck. And this is when some people turn to cosmetic surgery. But now, with the revolutionary facial flex, registered trademark sign, you have an effective and easy alternative. First developed for stroke rehabilitation, facial flex, registered trademark sign, does for your face what regular workouts do for your body. An ultra lightweight device, precision made from surgical stainless steel and ABS plastic with dental grade elastic resistance. It locates comfortably in the corners of the mouth. Using only your facial muscles, compress and release it 40 to 60 times per minute for about 2 minutes against the dynamic resistance of the elastic band. A trial in the USA showed amazing results. In just 2 months, subjects achieved an average 32% increase in facial firmness and 250% increase in facial muscle strength. There we go. Amazing. You must have sold a lot of those.
That was probably a failure. It's a lot like venture capital. Not everything works.
So, what was the top seller?
If I'm not mistaken, it was the sandals with spikes to aerate your lawn.
Oh my god, my mum did one of those.
I think
Yeah,
I
you
did
know,
too.
yeah,
The
yeah.
weirdest thing in the garden.
People have those.
You see, the top selling one, people will recognize.
That's right.
And the moles, chase moles away. Because you know when you get moles in your garden, there was this thing that you push a spike into the garden, and the top of it was some electronic which scared the moles away. Do you remember that? Does anybody remember that? Yeah. Should I give you some, that, okay, we can take the piss, but I'll tell you. Number one, we loved putting it together. We had a real laugh. It was like publishing, really. It was part retailing, part publishing. Number two, people enjoyed it. Obviously, you were one of them. They might have kept it in the loo and not on the coffee table, but people really enjoyed it. And thirdly, we used to get orders, lots and lots of orders. So our response rate to the Sunday Times insert was about 0.8%, which is, on which we could make a profit. And when we mailed the catalogue to our best customers, we would get between 6 and 10% response rate. So it was, we obviously struck a chord there.
And it was a household name. Was it? I must be assuming it was the first time that you were running a business that everywhere you went, people you told me around the innovation .log, and they were saying, "Wow."
Yeah, that was a two-edged sword though, because you you go again, at dinner parties, and then when you do, I run this business called Innovations. I've been waiting 3 weeks. So it was in the days where shipments used to take a couple of weeks. We had a big call center, and sometimes demand exceeded our ability to answer the phones. People would get very angry. I learned a lot about customer service during that time, and thank goodness these were products that people didn't mind waiting for because they weren't exactly urgent. The molds were really
And it must have been hard to because in each catalogue you must have had 50 or more products, I presume. So many more of that. And it would have been hard to predict when you had a new product how many it was going to sell. Did you keep a big warehouse, or was it more? No,
it was all drop ship. And we, in fact, we introduced EDI during, I suppose, the latter part of where we would send electronically the orders through to the suppliers. We would estimate the sales pre-catalog going out, and then within hours, really, we would extrapolate from the orders we got to how many we thought we would need for the catalog, and then we would update it every day as the demand curves became clearer, so that the supplier would know how many they had to have. Sometimes they'd have to air freight them, from Hong Kong or wherever, but it would have been impossible to keep stock. So that was what's now called e-commerce light, but in those days it was zero warehouse, was called dropship.
And you built a very substantial business in that one. That was a famous business you clearly really enjoyed building up. You sold it. Why?
So we were public at the time, and the revenues were about 70 million. The major shareholder was a guy in his 70s. We built up quite a lot of cash in the business, and he wanted to get out. So we, the management team, between us, I guess we owned about 35%, something like that, decided we would buy the business. And you're a public company, it's not that easy to buy and take a company off the stock exchange. The way the process works is the non-exec directors have to treat you as the insiders as outsiders and put the company out to the market. And the long and short of it was that we bid a certain, I can't remember what we bid, something like 30 million or something. And we were severely outbid by two companies. And so we sold.
So you didn't actually want to leave the company at all? You just
No, we wanted to continue, but we couldn't raise the kind of money that we were bidding against GUS, Great Universal Stores, and the Burton Group, which subsequently became Arcadia and Devon. And they pushed the price up so high that we took our profit and went.
But am I right that you did then subsequently work for Burton Group?
That was also part of the deal, and that was a great experience. I didn't get fired from that. In fact, I stayed on at the end of the contract, and on a part-time basis, I chaired a couple of joint ventures that I put together while I was there. One with the Woods, and the other one was with the Daily Mail Group. That was during the crazy time of the early 90s, 89, 90, was during the bubble. 2000. And everybody wanted to get into digital. We had, prior to selling the company, we had done the first e-commerce transaction in the UK, May 1995. I was saying earlier that we used the NatWest Secure Server and Fujitsu ran the tech part of it. was in the days of the dial-up modems, 28.8 dial-up modems. It obviously very cunning. You watch the screen slowly.
28 luxury.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah, but that was just publishing. We were doing e-commerce. It was quite. We had to take credit cards and process them and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we got very little credit from the Burton Group who bought the company for the internet because they thought it was a bit of a gimmick and it would all get away. But then a year or so afterwards, everybody started talking, and if, digital, and if you didn't have some digital component to your company, then your stock was pretty, badly valued. Those were really nutty days. That's when I started investing.
Mm. So I wanted to ask you about angel investing because it's hard to know what angel investing took place in the UK at all before the dot-com bubble. Was there much going on before? I mean, did you feel like you were, one of a load of people, or did you feel fairly sort of on your own?
I can't remember any others who, and I can't say, look, that I really specialised early on because I didn't, when I left the Burton Group, it was in the middle of this crazy time, and I made like half a dozen investments, which all seemed incredibly logical at the time. There was one called Green Fingers, and one called Think Natural. They were smart ideas. The problem is that there were no consumers on the internet, so they were offering products, but who was connected? So, but very fortunately, I came across lastminute.com, and I was introduced to it by Amadeus, the venture capital firm, who knew nothing about consumer. They were investing in chips, and Herman Hauser, really the doyen of chip technology, and later backed ARM and so on. So his firm, Amadeus, heard about Last Minute and said, well, this is kind of technology, it's sort of internet, but we know nothing about consumer. So they approached me and said, would you go and meet these guys? So I went to meet with Brent and Martha in a tiny little office on Regent Street, funnily enough, about 3 flights up. I remember the meeting distinctly because they hadn't had any furniture yet. They just had some computers that they'd taken out of the boxes, and we all sat on the boxes and we talked about the business. Anyway, cut a long story short, I invested alongside Amadeus, and the reason I tell this story is because I tell Brent and Martin today that if it wasn't for them, I probably would have got out of this business because all the others went bust, and they would have gone bust, as I think they would admit, if they hadn't listed the company, raised £120 million before they invoiced a cent, a penny. I'm pretty sure there was no revenue at all. Taken to the market by Morgan Stanley and Goldman's, not sure. Anyway, that saved them, and in a way made me take the whole business a bit more seriously, because I don't know what decision I would have made, but if they'd also gone bust, I probably would have said, this is far too risky.
And you were the first angel investor in Last Minute?
I think I was the only angel investor. I think it was the other VC was Arts Alliance. Was that?
Yeah, I remember.
The Arts Alliance, who later backed Moshi Monsters with us.
But after that, you went on to do a load of angel investing.
Yeah, look, I think your question about were there other angel, I think there probably were. There have always been angel investors. I think that the way I am, I can't dabble. It's just not in my nature. You either do it or don't do it. And I decided that I was going to do it properly. And that's when I sort of tried to work out, what does a serious angel investor do? What should your strategy be? How should you go about it? What are the key success factors, et cetera, et cetera. So really thought about how you build a portfolio and so on. So I think nowadays that's what people do, and of course there are a lot of venture firms today who are very sophisticated, and I think we're very fortunate that in the last 3 years we just have a huge amount of capital come to.
And you've obviously had a lot of other wins as an angel investor since then. What do you think has been the secret of your success at building a portfolio?
Well, I think one has to be prepared to lose. You've got to take risk. I hear investors talk about their loss ratios are really low. So, if your loss ratio is too low, you're not taking enough risk. Returns are made by the outliers, by the Zooplas of this world, by the Just Eats and so on. That's where returns are made. And I think that you've got to be prepared to focus on the winners. You've got to accept the losers. You do your darndest. And our strategy at LocalGlobe, if I can jump all the way to is to work really hard for our companies for 2 years. And then less hard after that, because by then we expect the larger VCs to have taken over and so on. But it's intensive, and but it's for a relatively short period. And then we have to decide whether is this going to be a company that we're going to stick with and continue to invest in, or do we keep our funds for other startups. But I think the other important thing, and I think most investors, early stage investors will tell you, it's about the people. It is about the people, the founders, the team. I think a lot of investors spend too much time on the markets and on competition and technology and so on. And really, obviously I do find having being an engineer is quite useful, because you do have to try and keep up to date with the technology. But what I should have done was psychology. I should really have learned about people, because it's about people. It's about assessing their motivations, how they're likely to behave when the inevitable bumps in the road are hit, when things go wrong, as they always do. And so I try and spend as much time getting to know and understand the people.
Well, I think that's a good point to take a quick break. And now is the moment for our audience to add to the mix of questions. So I'm just wondering who has got the first question. Who'd like to ask the first question?
Thank you both. That was wonderfully insightful. I've just got a quick question about, inspiration. So Robin, who have been your kind of role models in your career? And to follow that up, who are the inspirational characters at the moment?
All right. I think my early ones in this industry were probably Brent and Martha, although I have to say that their business failed in a way. It would certainly have failed without the stock market coming to their rescue, as it were. But the vision that they had so early on, I mean, they had an innate understanding of the web and how powerful it was in offering what I guess we now call perishable inventory. They were young, smart, dynamic, attracted a lot of smart people around them. So I think I think I would definitely point to them as inspirational founders, and I think a lot of the people that you see who've risen up the ranks in all sorts of tech companies cut their teeth at last minute. It was kind of like the PNG for the industry.
So you mentioned Saul.
Hi.
You mentioned Saul, and I'm pleased to say that we share one thing at least in common, which is I also have a son called Saul. And another thing that we share in common is that I've also worked with my father in the past.
Right.
So I'm interested to know, it's an interesting dynamic, and I'm interested to know how you've managed to make it work and what are those ingredients like.
Yeah, what are the ingredients? I think mutual respect for one another's capabilities, not just technical capabilities, functional capabilities, but also mutual respect for a set of values. I think we share a set of values, which I think is core. But it's not easy. I mean, I shouldn't pretend that it is, because when you have your differences, they can sometimes get quite heated and quite emotional because of the relationship, obviously. For a long period, we worked together remotely because he was partner at Index for 8 years, and I was running the sort of family portfolio. And then for the last 5 years, I was part-time at Index as a venture partner. But so we didn't really we didn't work on the same companies. Our portfolio was like split. I work on some, he works on others. But we would talk about the portfolio, obviously, and share thoughts. But we're now, in the last 2 years, we're in the same office. But we've got a great team, and it's not just the two of us. We're 3 partners, and in fact, everybody's a partner. Everybody in the firm has a stake in the success of the firm. Yeah, I think that's probably it.
So you mentioned that to be a good angel investor, you have to make a lot of mistakes and learn from them. And obviously, the most common types of mistakes are where you invest in a company where it doesn't go quite right. Have you had any or many examples where you've turned down investing in a company which have then gone on to make?
Oh, yes.
And what's the most high profile one?
Pinterest?
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Don't rub it in.
There's nothing to look at.
I couldn't, I mean, when I saw it, it was, it wasn't quite a PowerPoint presentation. I mean, it was up there, and you could see that people were engaged. I just couldn't see how they were ultimately going to monetize it. They still haven't quite done that, but I know it's quite a long time ago. I'm not justifying turning it down, because obviously it would have been a fantastic investment. And that was one of the reasons I turned it down, aside from the fact that I just couldn't see far enough into the future, was that it was based on the West Coast. And that's me. I'm sorry.
That's Pinterest.
Well, if they offered it today at the same price, I might change my mind. Yeah, but no, they're more. There's more than that. Just that. I think it happens, and I think one should learn from that. We have a system now within LocalGlobe. If we turn something down, we use Trello. Does everyone know Trello? We do that for our deal flow. So then it moves from what we call chemistry, which is DD, like getting to know. We move it into a column called track. So there are hundreds of companies in track that we, for whatever reason, can't invest in. But we put notes on there as to why. And the reason we put notes on it is later, when they become unicorns, we can go back and see how done they were.
Has anyone else got any questions? Yes.
So with the top 10 companies by market cap and wealth, 7 of them are the US, 3 of them are Chinese. Why isn't Britain there in your reasoning? And also, what can we do to get companies in the top 10?
Well, the first question I'd ask is there something magic about the top 10? But I'll take the point that you're making.
Anything up in that region?
You know, what's interesting about some of the UK companies is the scale that they are achieving. So, okay, take the company I know best, because I'm still on the board of Zoopla. So, market cap of Zoopla now is £1.7 billion. Right? So convert that to dollars, that's respectable by any standard, and it's only operating in the UK. So, one of the myths about venture capital is you've got to be global to be big. And there are a few companies I could point to, Rightmove, Money Supermarket, Just Eat, okay, they've gone global now, but the bulk of their profits come out of the UK. We're going to see this happening more and more. So I think there's a lag. Clearly, we've got a much smaller population. Some companies are hard to globalize. E-commerce is particularly hard, and we've come out of the e-commerce phase, and there's nothing incredibly exciting about e-commerce today. But we are leaders in e-commerce. We're leaders in fashion. We look like we're emerging as leaders in AI, and who knows? There's some new emerging technologies where we're showing very, very well. Remember, our ecosystem is very, very new. It really is, and we don't have the capital base that they've got in the US, but it's increasing faster than theirs is. So we're in the catch-up phase, but market caps that I think we're always going to get crushed.
Yeah. It's definitely an outperformance of the other countries, considering their resources, we would outperform.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly right. And take a little country like Israel. Look how they outperform as well, but they're not in the top 10 either.
Yeah, thank you. I think we've got time for one more question. Is there one from the audience? One more.
Sorry. You gave a good example of something that you didn't believe in that perceived to be successful with Pinterest. Do you have something opposite, so something that you strongly believe in at the moment that most people around you disagree with?
It's yes, but I could be wrong to name them. But why don't I put it this way? One of the things that I think smart investors do is invest in things that other people don't believe in. Now, that often doesn't work, but when it does, the rewards are great. So if the market doesn't yet see that this company, whatever it is, has got the a glimmer of greatness about it, and you do, then that's the time to lean forward, put some more capital in, build the ownership, give the company a longer runway, etc. So we do that all the time. It doesn't always work out, but I wouldn't want to name, because those are the companies that are in a position where it would be wrong to label them as not successful yet.
Okay, I was kind of hoping for an answer, but I'll take that.
I'm sorry, but I've been pretty careful, I think, about those things. But I've got to protect other people's confidentiality.
Well, perhaps I can selfishly ask the final question, which is this. So, imagine you're 25 years old again, starting out as an entrepreneur again. What's the bit of advice that you would like 2017 Robin to go back in time and give you that would have been the most helpful to you at that time?
That's right. Things that I didn't know then, God, there was so many. Yeah, I think I would aim a lot higher. I mean, yes, I'm not complaining. I've been very successful, but I think I could have built much bigger companies if I believed it was possible. I think it's about believing that it's possible, and I think I see it in the younger generation. My priorities when I first started was make a living. I was not a missionary. It was my priority. I had a young family and I had to make a living. And of course that should be everybody's priority. But I think if you can combine that with a really big vision, I think that's what I would say. Swing for the fences.
Fantastic. Well, I can't imagine a more inspirational note on which to finish this evening. So, Robin, thank you so much. This has been a unique and remarkable opportunity to get a whole load of insights that I don't think we would have got any other way. So, Robin Klein, thank you very much.